All right. This is Bishop Bowser, and this is Slow Motion with Bishop Bowser's podcast. And we thank the Lord for all of you that are viewing and listening and chiming in to this podcast. We live stream on Facebook, and we also uh, uh, do our podcast, our audio as part of our podcast on Podbean. And we also will post the link up so everyone can link up with us. Tonight, I should say, we have I believe, a pretty good topic we're going to be talking about. This is season 2, episode 7, and I have with me my guest, who I normally have with me, is James Robinson. Call him Jimmy. And tonight's discussion is mentoring black boys. Mentoring black boys. Now, I really appreciate what we were talking about before we got on here, as far as about being able to, depending on the topic that you talk about, will depend on who you gather in. If it's something idiotic or foolish or stupid. What is that noise I hear? There was some clicking and clacking, something. I don't know what that was. Oh, there you go. Yeah, it's clear now. And if we was going to be talking about Brianna being pregnant, folks would want to chime in on the end to hear that, right? or I don't know, they might be interested. But if we talk about Whoopi Goldberg, she getting in trouble with ABC, you might some folks might chime in on that. I one of the things that I do agree with, as far as with I don't care too much for Whoopi, but I was listening to, not listening, but reading something that Bishop Thomas Swan had posted, and he was basically talking about, when it comes to white supremacy, they don't want you, all the things we've gone through, whether it's mass incarceration or slavery or police brutality, systemic race, all the various things that black people go through in this country. They don't want us talking, when we start talking about those things. They want to talk about, oh, well, why you got to bring race into it, why everything got to be racism, and so on. But then on the other side of the coin, when she said that it wasn't about race, it was more so about humanity, or the lack thereof. Folks get up in arms about it, and so on. So I think there needs to be a balance, for sure, because whenever it comes to black people and what we go through, folks don't want to hear about it. But we hear about everybody else's struggle, and we should. I think, in this country there should be room enough for all of it. But it seems to be that when it comes to black folks, everybody, when it comes to reparations, everybody can get reparations, right? Whatever it is, everybody can get their support on it. But then when it comes to us, they cannot. So that was very interesting in that. But tonight we want to talk about mentoring black boys. And one of the things that I just want to share before I dive in here with Jimmy, is that violence is responsible for about 5% of deaths among white men and boys aged 15 to 24 in California, but 26% of deaths among Hispanic men and boys the same age, and just under 50% of all deaths among black men and boys in this age group, 15 to 24. Now, uh, more than 92% of gun homicides, and I wanted to bring this up because this week we're talking about National Gun Violence Awareness Week, right? And the reason why we're doing it from February the 1st through February the 7th is because America surpasses other nations that are their peers, and that are in the same category as America. America surpassed them in February in gun violence, compared to the gun violence that they experienced the whole year, right? And so America is a violent place, right? And so more than 92% of gun homicide victims killed before the age of 18 in California are black or Hispanic. The experts at the National Institute of Justice also noted that youth living in our inner cities show a higher prevalence of post traumatic stress disorder than soldiers in our wartime military. Even before this coronavirus broke out, and even during it right now, right? There's serious violence that continues to be a public health epidemic in California, and particularly in our communities, black communities, that is overlooked and many times underserved or marginalized. Each year, California suffers nearly 2,000 homicides, over 70% of which are committed with a gun, and thousands more non fatal shootings and stabbings that can leave victims with serious long term medical issues. This violence burdens the healthcare system and imposes enormous human and economic costs every single year. While the coronavirus is an unprecedented public health threat, we also have to recognize that violence is the leading cause of death for young black men and boys in California, and the parents of black teenagers in this state are as likely to lose their son to violence as every other cause of death, such as human or natural illness, accident, or suicide combined. Now, moreover, violence is likely to continue to be a major concern both during this crisis we're in or coming out of or whatever it's going to be, and especially in this aftermath, right? So we need these systems to pay attention and to invest in our communities and so on, because we need to address and deal with
Not
this.
gonna happen.
Right. And let me just bring
Ain't
this
gonna
one
happen.
last thing out there, and I hear you. You're absolutely right. And here's the thing, right? Um, a single shooting. They did this estimate in Stockton. A single shooting costs $2.5 million in California. And you're talking about a single shooting. So if they would just invest, like, let's just say, look in uh, San Diego, right? If they would just invest 5 million, right, dollars, they could save over $500 million over a 5 year period. And a lot of times they don't want to look at it that way, especially investing. And I'm talking about specifically investing in the black community, where we have a lot of this violence, a lot of things that are taking place and happening. But we'd rather continue to feed our juvenile halls, our jails, our prison systems, our youth authority systems, and continue to feed the graveyards, right, and the hospitals with our young black boys that are being injured and killed or taken prey by the wrong folks who are mentoring them. They got mentors, but the kind of mentors they have are people that's mentoring them to be a gang member, mentor to be a pimp or a drug dealer or a hustler or some kind of crook or criminal, and it's not positive. And we need more positive role models. And so I'm really appreciative of this discussion tonight of mentoring black boys, and with James Robinson, who I call Jimmy, is with us tonight. So, Jimmy, you have the floor.
Yeah, we great introduction there. You kind of put a whole lot into one big ball of stuff, but we can digest and unpack that. So you
Exactly.
start talking about investing into the black community. Well, they already are investing in the black community.
Hmm.
They're investing in the black community in Georgia to the tune of, I think it's what, $850 they give them single moms.
Oh yeah, yeah,
They're
yeah. Uh
investing in
huh.
the black community,
Hmm.
and up and down in Georgia as they're giving the single moms $375. They're investing in the black community down in over in Birmingham, where they're giving them 375. They are investing in the quote unquote. You got to be careful. I know we have to use this term black and brown, but when you start talking about 92% of the gun violence is in the black and brown community, but don't forget you have evil white Hispanics that are committing violence against black people that get
Yeah,
spewed in that number as well.
yeah.
Now, I follow the money, right? Because I'm a proponent of the money.
Hmm.
You follow the money. You got to understand that the war is against black. It's against black people, but it's really on black boys, right?
Right,
Because there's all kind of funding. We've already just went over the deluge funding
right.
specifically for black women that black boys will never get a chance to get their hands on unless they turn into Billy Porter, which is what they want, or
Right.
one of those cross dress to get your pussy open out there. Then you can get whatever you need.
Hmm.
So yes, we specifically need to focus on the black boys because we already understand that 80% of these boys that are raised in the community are products of single mothers, and they're going to be highly prone to have a high propensity to violence, to be exposed to all the ills of the streets. And since they're thrown out there,
I hear a background of something.
it might be my music, but let me tell you something.
Okay.
Since these black boys are thrown out into the streets
Yeah.
to fend for themselves, they are the ones that, and obviously we probably won't be able to save them all, but if we can get our hands on a few before the streets, the morgue, and the prisons get to them,
Yeah.
then, you know, it makes we've done our job.
Right. Absolutely. So what is you know, when you look at that, and I appreciate you bringing that out, as because I know you mentioned some of that before, as far as how they are investing in our communities, in the black communities, but the focus is not. I don't know what the argument is as far as how they're investing in the black community that way. But you know, we most definitely know that we have a crisis in our community, and it starts in the home. One of the things we've been talking about for a while, it starts in the home, and that's one of the problems that we have. Um, I remember what's that's an echo. That sound like me. Is am I causing that? Do I have a?
Yeah, that's actually on your end. It sounds like.
Let me see. Hold on.
When you talk, I heard it I just heard it.
Yeah, but it's. I got mine's muted. So is your phone muted? Do you have your phone or anything on there?
No.
There it goes. It's off now. It's off now. Oh no, I still hear it. I don't know what that is. Okay, but I hear it. I'm trying to figure out. Oh, maybe it's coming from my phone. You're right. It is coming from my phone. Jimmy, like that's not me, man. It was down low.
You know, just because I'm south of the border doesn't mean, you know, I paid $5 damn to get to the international service. So
there you go. Yeah, that was me. I think my phone was doing it a little bit. but one of the things I want to say in regards to this is because I want to talk about it either last week before, but I couldn't remember the gentleman's name, but his name was Jawanza Kunjufu. That was his name, Jawanza Kunjufu. And Jawanza Kunjufu said, "Where are black boys going to see black men? When you look on television, you'll be hard pressed to name 5 positive black men on television outside the news. Then, unfortunately, many young people don't go to church. So the last place is the streets. And that's the problem. The streets do a very poor job in making black men. So the real problem is black boys have a difficult time seeing strong black male role models." So what is your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, you know, that is very true.
Yeah.
That is 100% true.
Yeah, absolutely. And
so just
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Kind of just think about it.
Mm-hmm.
The single mother gleefully hands her son off to a white supremacist school for 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what's that percentage? 60s. Like, at one point, I think black kids, 60% of their teachers were white women.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So there you go.
Yeah,
so they're from the start of the day, they don't see black.
Right.
You already know when they get home, 8 times out of 10, there's a very strong probability that, you know, A, there's no man there, or B, it's even worse. You know, there's an escalator of men coming in to his mother's home. So, you know, what do you do with that?
Yeah, and not being really a good example of it, right? And here's the other thing that Jawanza Kunjufu said, and kind of right in line with what you were saying about white supremacy. But he said the conspiracy to destroy black men comes from white male supremacy. White men are not afraid of white or black women. The threat to European men will not come from women, but black men. The best way to destroy black men is to destroy black boys. And we see that at work and everywhere we go, from the time that they go to school, and if they walking from school or catching the bus or the trolley, from facing oppressive system institution within the school system that is failing our young black men, right, young black boys, from the perspective of really being able to reach them, really being able to educate them, really being able to teach them, really able to capture their attention, really to understand the trauma, the struggles that they're dealing with, not just from the violence in the community, but also the disrespect that even comes from the home. And I say this respectfully, but I say this from an experience that I have of doing this work with for years. One of the greatest conflicts and that I find in the home is that young black boy or young black teen dealing with his black mom or grandmother, whoever, and there is a sense of verbal and even physical violence that happens to him by the way he's talked to, the way he's treated, and even sometimes physically. And I see the animosity. I see the rivalry right there, right? But what amazed me at the same time, these are rather than whenever something positive happened in his life, that's the first person to turn to is the mom and leave the dad out. But I really believe that our young black boys do need positive role models in their lives. And we need more black men to step up, right? That, got their lives together, right? And one of the things that I found out is that, just because you have an education, a college degree, and so on, that does not mean that you're a positive role model. It has to happen transformation within the mindset, right? Now, and the school is not going to do that. The school is not going to teach a young boy and a young man how to be a black man in America, right? Because they'll do the same thing that they're doing right now. If you talk about it, then you won't be able to work, you won't be able to live, you won't be able to make money, and so on. So you got to play along and go along with the systems, and that's where I believe they our young black boys need role models, black men to mentor them, to teach them budgeting, teach them about keeping their credits right, teaching them about housing, home, how to buy a home early, teaching them how to invest their money, teaching them how to treat women right, teaching them how to avoid the snares and the traps and the pitfalls that get so many of us that's set right there before us, and we fall in it to be able to be independent thinkers, to think for themselves versus falling into the trap of just doing what everybody else do because it's popular.
How about
Go
first
ahead.
off, we teach
Stop
them
me anytime
business
you want to, Brother Jimmy. So go ahead,
no worries.
jump in there.
Yeah, a very good list, but at the very top of the list should be we teach these young men business acumen.
Say that again.
No need. We teach these young men business acumen, right? Because we
Thank
already
you.
have the most educated, and the most educated can't hand nothing off other than that student loan debt
Thank you.
to their children.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
so
you.
if you really want to teach them something, you teach them how to be self-sufficient economically and how to handle that economics. And then we can add all that other stuff together. All that other stuff sounds good and it's warm and fuzzy, but if they're not economically upwardly mobile, empowered, right, then all of that other stuff is just horse shit. And the reason that it's horse shit is because, once again, a house here in San Diego County is $700,000.
That's right.
So if we're not building these young men up where they can build, and maintain their own six-figure income,
that's right.
What did we really accomplish? You know what I'm saying? That's what we're gonna, what we're gonna be focused on is more results-based. We're going to be focused more results-based, right? Versus, and nothing against anyone else, but clearly all the other pomp and circumstance, it hasn't worked, right?
Right.
So, you want to start talking about getting black men that want to mentor black boys now? Absolutely. There's plenty of black men that step in and help. Many, probably like myself, like, well, why should I even bother? Is the juice worth the squeeze, right?
Right.
If I step out here and put my neck out here to quote unquote help my people, what kind of backlash am I going to get?
Right. Exactly.
Right. You start inviting people that might, some people have a corporate job, this, that, and the third, where me myself, I'm a lot more independent. I don't really have to worry about the backlash, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But other people aren't in that position. So, yeah, with that being the case, we got a couple of good people lined up. My personal mentor, who I'm working with now, he's agreed to come in and speak to the brothers. He's done a little bit of everything. Professional motocross rider,
Okay.
been a real estate broker for 30 years, real estate agent, and also holds PNC license. So, if nothing else, he will be able to bring that sort of business acumen to these young men
Mm-hmm. Amen.
in that respect.
Amen.
Yeah. And also, we got our brother Melvin, which Melvin very
Oh,
well. He's
yeah.
up in LA. Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing great work.
So I did that. What isn't he doing?
I know.
Film producer, podcast host, music engineer.
Yeah, that's for sure, man. That is for sure.
When he don't have time to do all that, he's vegan. So
Right. That's good. And well, he's going into a little bit, but he's newly married. But I think he's surpassed a year already.
Yes, him and his wife have been married. They just had the year anniversary. I want to say last month.
Yeah.
But no, December, I think.
Yeah. That'll work. Yeah. Appreciate a lot of things that he's doing. That's one of the things that he's trying to push and get folks to understand and so on. So I really appreciate him. Find inspiration from him. Does some good critiques of the movies also. I check him out with that. But it's real great. And one of the things I was going to say you covered it when you said it is that like I have to really understand business and getting into entrepreneurship, and rather than relying on systems, be innovative and create your own economy, right? Because of ways of how ventures, and you have to do just more than one thing to do that, and they need to really learn and be taught how to do that. A lot of these things I wasn't taught until I got older, right? And if I was taught some of these things when I was a teenager or a young adult, man, where could I be right now, right? Rather than trying to catch up, I would already be way ahead of the game in a lot of it. So it is inspiring to see people like Melvin and yourself and others that are really trying to do some positive things and so on. And like my oldest son, when he was a teenager, he kind of got into entrepreneurship. He started his own. He had his own energy drink, right? And so he always was doing some kind of hustle in business and so on, and a true hustle, creating his own economy and his own through businesses and entrepreneurship, and so on, to having all these great innovative ideas. And so and still today he's still doing the same thing. So it really works, because I know one of the things, especially when we're working with young black boys and as they go into teens, they get 18 and so on, when we catch up with a lot of them, they've already been tainted by the system. And what I mean by that is they've already been arrested, already probably got at least one felony on their record. And so the system sets it up to where that they make it more harder, challenging, and difficult for you to do anything if you have a criminal record. And so they're not going to hire you unless you go to a low skill job or something, even though you might have high skills.
So I'm not going to necessarily buy that. Even on the entrepreneur side, right now you get your hands on the CDL, and that's some economic freedom. You get involved in a skilled trade, whether it's HVAC, plumbing and pipe fitting, or electrician, and you can write your own paycheck. There's a future. So yes, the criminal record is a problem, but is it the end all do all? Absolutely not. If the will is there to be successful and the right opportunity is presented, then individual can change.
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you'll face a lot of challenges and people wanting to hire you because of that. But if you if you can get, because a lot of you guys get out with these skills, right, and have these skills, or they might either get out and go to school and either get an education, a degree, or get a skill. When I didn't go to, I did go to school, college, and stuff like that. But but what I did is I went to welding school and got a trade, right? But I think when you do that, and when you get it, when you start launching, you want to launch deeper where you really want to make some money. Then they start looking at a lot of those things, unless you're proved yourself, right? So a lot of times, what I find, and I'm seeing a lot of folks, that's getting out of prison now, that's starting to do it, is that the best way to succeed is to start your own business, to do your own thing, right? Whatever trade or skill or education you may have, use that to do something that you can build your own wealth rather than building somebody else's wealth for them, and so on. And of course, I got a lot of friends and different folks who got different skills, and they might get into. I see some in construction, some of them buying, driving the trucks and doing different things like that. I got one homeboy that drive trucks, and he actually bought his own truck, right? And so now he don't have to like rely on one of these companies. He can do his own deliveries and things like that through his truck, so he can contract with certain folks. So we just have to we have to just be innovative and creative in our approach to the labor market, and if we're going to really build our own wealth and have something that's sustainable that you're going to pass down and become generational wealth to your children and so on, where you really build something when you're gone, you can leave it behind.
No, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
And it's not being taught in schools, and clearly it's not being taught at home. So that's what our focus will be. We'll start with a very small controlled group,
Mm-hmm.
and we will make that group successful,
Mm-hmm.
and then we will move on to the next group and make them successful, and keep a tab on our previous group and invite them back to kind of talk and share about the experiences that they've had, because without being too I don't want to get too controversial.
Okay.
So on social media, that there's different avenues that social media companies have been exploring, and lots of media personalities have been all over social media exploiting, these social media spaces, so to
Yeah.
speak, without giving it away.
Yeah.
And it's been a lot of this talk about native Black people that were born here
Mm-hmm.
versus our African counterparts.
Mm-hmm.
And
I've heard those
I
discussions.
understand, division is good. I understand all of that, but ultimately, right now, if
Mhm.
if we have these spaces, with these different movements, if it isn't constructive, right? Because don't get me wrong, sure, Black Americans need to stand up for themselves, but when I get ready to cross the border and I'm seeing more Black homeless people on the street up there in San Diego than homeless African migrants down here in in TJ,
Right.
then when I see these Black homeless people in San Diego, do I supposed to tell them, well, hey man, on social media, dog, we standing up for y'all, man, and social media, we Black Americans, we proud.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's not manifesting into anything tangible here in the streets that we can empower our people with. So, we're gonna just like step away from that, so to speak, and just focus directly on helping a small controlled group of Black young men that we can empower and send them about their way. And then we'll bring in another small control group.
Oh, that'll work. That'll work. Yeah, that sounds good, man. Let me ask you a question, because
Sure.
when you're talking about whether a person is Black person, native San Diego, I mean not native San Diego, but native in America, as far as roots go back to slavery and so on, and versus those that were not a part of that experience, that may be from one of our African nations or somewhere else. And so one of the things that I observed, and I still see it now, and I really like caught on to it because my wife was doing it, and that's in movies, right? And
Mm-hmm.
when you look at the some of these African movies, and they're really becoming prevalent in America, and you look at some of the acting and the quality of their movies that they're producing and putting together, and the storytelling behind it is very good. And and I found that when you look at a lot of our movies, when especially when you have our not the rich folks that can have all these Hollywood folks help them make, but when someone's really trying to put something together on their own and so on, the acting is not as good and so on. So I think that and the movie quality is not that good, and then the story behind it a lot of times is either focused on drugs or sex and things like that versus really telling a true story of what happens in the average black home and so on, with like my home, your home, and folks that are doing positive things and so forth. So I think that from the perspective of us, like learning from each other and being able to come together and put our resources together, if we were able to do that and really kind of like, I guess I don't want to say ethnicity, but it's different cultures, right? And be able to come together to do that, I think that we can probably get a lot further versus being divided. And so, at least from that perspective, when I look at it from that lens, what are your thoughts on that?
You know, to be honest with you, it's not my problem. Yeah, I mean, as far as movie goes, if you like a movie, don't like the movie,
So
you
what?
fight, you protest with your wallet,
That's
right?
it. That's it.
I don't have to go and see a movie if I don't like it, and that's the best protest. Better than any keyboard warrior.
Right.
Just in regards to unity, I mean, I have no problem with my African people. I mean, yes, are there coons and do they do real? Do they talk slick to us and about us? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
is that now the whole question is that should that clearly just dominate and be the focus? Is just dealing with these Africans,
Mm-hmm.
or do we have more pressing issues like the fact that 1.5 homeless people die? We're averaging almost 2 homeless people die on the streets of San Diego every single day, and 30% of them are disproportionately black.
Wow. Wow.
I mean, when I start talking about homeless
Do you
black
know
women
what
that are being
percentage?
raped on the streets, once again, I may be being funny, when I'm walking down the street or when I'm riding my bike down the street, when I'm driving down the street and I see these homeless black women, do I pull up and tell them, hey, man, right now we're going in on them damn African immigrants. I can't offer anything tangentially to help feed you. I obviously can't offer you any resources to help house you, but on behalf of quote unquote pick the movement,
Mm-hmm.
on social media, we're destroying African immigrants. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
we have a lot, just in my humble opinion, we have a lot bigger and better fish to fry. That energy can be better focused somewhere else. Which is why I was telling you, I've just decided to use and put my energy in a different direction because remember, whatever your energy focuses on, whatever you think, that
Yep.
shit will come true.
Yeah.
So, if you just want to quote unquote focus on nothing but white supremacy all day, you just
Mm-hmm.
want to focus on nothing but African immigrants all day, well, then
Mm-hmm.
guess what? When you go outside in real life, you are going to encounter white supremacists. You will encounter angry
You
African
attract.
immigrants.
Yeah. Yeah. You attract that stuff to you. Exactly. You know.
So, you know,
And the focus should be is kind of what we were talking about earlier, and what the subject is as far as empowering our own,
dude, I
right?
got an 11-year-old black boy in Virginia that's ran away from his fucking house twice since December.
Man.
Okay, now there's a reason that this young black man keeps running away from home
Mm-hmm.
2 times since December in the freezing winter in Virginia.
Oh, that's in
Okay,
Virginia.
so see, like we could and should be addressing that. There's a missing 4-year-old black boy that just walked out his house at 11 o'clock at night outside of Atlanta, Georgia, been missing for 4 days.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't hear
Right.
about that.
So you know what I mean? Like not being funny, but like, should my energy be focused on, we got to fight this. And I'm not saying white supremacy doesn't exist because racism
Right.
is obviously there and it does need to be eradicated.
Mhm.
But should the energy and focus be on, oh, I just need to focus on white supremacy. Oh, I got to focus on these African immigrants, or, hey, those are issues, but what I can really make a direct impact on is these particular issues that are on my plate right now. I can reach out and touch and impact these issues. So that's just my
Exactly.
2 cents on it.
Yeah, no, and I agree. I agree with you. You know, that's why, for a while, I've been, that's what I've been trying to focus on, and not so much getting caught up in all the rifts and things like that, because there's only a few that benefit from that, right? That push those narratives and so on. So, when you look at it and you see that, then it causes a rift of us not really loving, respecting each other like we should, and correcting each other when we get out of pocket, or being disrespectful and things like that. That should be addressed and so on. And
This is
we
my hypergamy. You know what I really think it is? I got to jump in and say it when I'm
go
thinking
ahead.
about
No, go ahead.
top of mind. You got to understand something, man. Negroes are messy.
Yeah.
Okay. Negroes love some mess. Women in particular, they love some drama, some bullshit. And when you start, and this is mudslinging, it's messy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this shit is messy, dog. So yeah, you know what I'm saying? You already have people that are angry and have vitriol already. Because remember now, if you're just focusing on the negative, you already are internalizing hate.
Yep.
So now all of a sudden we can just release the hate, the anger, and the frustration, but it's really messy. It's some real trashy street bullshit, if you want the truth of the fact of the matter of it. But I like it because what it's really doing, Bishop Bowser, is just exposing that Negro malfunction that's been under, that undergirding what we've just never addressed. This is just classic Negro malfunction on display for the world to see. And yes, a couple of people will benefit from it via the social media, the traffic. So, they can do whatever it is they want to do to generate more money. Shout out to them. I'm not mad at you. But when you really look at it, what you're actually doing is you're really turning away intelligent Black society, because intelligent Black society can look at this shit and say, this is really not productive.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's almost like debating a white supremacist racist troll. You get a Candace Owens online. I can get her online right now. We can prove her wrong, but at the end of it, what did we really prove? What did we really gain? Because we knew what she was already. So that's just my 2 cents. And this is some real Negro malfunction on display. It's trifling, it's messy, and the dumbass niggas need to stop that shit.
Yeah.
I said it.
Yeah, and I was just talking with someone today on the phone about that, and from the perspective of, like, you can, even like yourself or me or others, you could be trying to do some positive things for your people and your community and things like that, and even fighting against systems and so on. But the ones who really come up against you are the very people that you love the most and care about the most, and which is your own Black people. And it just seemed like it's kind of tied into what we call that self-hate, right? But we reflect it, and it's redirected, and towards others, and so you can see it and experience it, right? And you're like, man, what's, like, what you call the Black malfunction, and you see a lot of that malfunction, dysfunction. You see a lot of that in our communities and the way things are happening and so on. And so, and
it's messy. Call it what it is, Bishop. It's messy.
Yeah.
It's no different than when you are able to hold service in your place of worship.
Right.
And you get a bunch of dang cackling women that are with pick the irrelevant subject, and it starts confusion amongst your congregation.
Right.
This is no different than that.
Yeah, absolutely. And folks strive off of that, and it's a mindset too. And so, it is challenging when you say you want to, if we want to try to bring people together and change some of this stuff. So yeah, a lot of people are like, okay, I'll just go and do my thing, for, like you were saying, focus on, getting these control groups, focus on helping those who I can help, and don't bring the negative energy into my arena, because if I start focusing on a lot of that stuff, then that's where I'm gonna get stuck at, and that's what's gonna come at me. But if I want some positive things, some good things to happen, then I got to start thinking and speaking it, and acting in it, and you'll see it happen, right? You'll see it happen, So I agree.
I've never really been into. I'm not one of those yogis, you know what I mean? Like I'm not into Kundalini yoga, so to speak. I don't really get off into all the spirituality kind of stuff, right? I mean, I love Swami's Beach. I love going to the Temple of Self-Realization up there, in Encinitas.
Okay.
In fact, I might try to sneak up there Friday if I can get across the board. I'd like to go up there Friday morning. But that stuff does work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, our body runs on frequency, so I have
Yeah.
learned to listen to the 432 megahertz meditation music.
Okay.
I really enjoy doing that in the morning because it gives me an opportunity to kind of like get the blood flowing and set the pace. Because in my line of work, with the tech company, sometimes 6:30 in the morning out here, I'm on the phone, with a Zoom call with an East Coast person. You know what I mean? Because it's already 9:30 over there.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to match that energy, that helps. Plus, just dealing with my own proclivities, right? Because I'm my own worst enemy. uh, and so dealing with myself and then prepare myself to deal with the world. Uh, that 432 megahertz meditation and therapeutic music, it does help. Because remember, ultimately, only thing that we can control is only thing that we are in control in is things we can control, right? So like you can't control the people and how they act. All you can do is just control how you react to the situation.
Right. Right.
And I
Exactly.
learned that therapy. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, these are just small things that we can do to, set ourselves in the right mental mind state.
Mm-hmm.
Because think about it. I don't care, if you're selling widgets or gadgets, or if you're the truck driver, if you work in construction,
Mm-hmm.
or if you're in the corporate setting, if you're in the nurse medical field.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go around harboring the negative,
Yeah.
all that negative energy. Like it isn't healthy. And I did that for a long time.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right, man. I agree 100%. That's one of the things we struggle with and deal with every day, right? To stay positive, like you said, wake up in the morning and throughout the day, keeping that positive mindset, creating an environment that's positive and conducive to help you get to where you need to get through. And one of the things I have written on the wall is only do those things that bring you closer to your goals. And so we got to make sure that we stand on task because you're going for what you need to go for, or you're helping somebody else reach their goals. And so, if you're going the same way that I'm going, I most definitely want to help lift you up, but I can't leave what I'm doing to help you lift you up, and then I suffer what I'm doing. Then at the end of the day, you turn around and harm me, and so on. So I want to keep it positive, I want to keep it right. I want to do the right thing, and so that means I have to stay focused on what I'm doing because when the enemy sees you, it's almost like uh they want, they attack. And I give an example is, you trying to keep it positive and you posting stuff, or on social media. I'm using social media as an example. and
Mhm.
um and people, I'm telling you, Jimmy, people that I love and respect, right, that I had high regard
Mhm.
for and respected, right, and you
Mhm.
see them posting things, they're talking about you, and it's like, well, what did I do to you? Why are you doing this? Okay, I'll move on. So I just
I will
unfriend them and
block
move
them.
on. You know.
Yeah, but block them and just, no, no, seriously, just block them,
Thank you.
because it ultimately is really not worth it. It's only
Thank you.
24 hours in a day, and I got to sleep for some of them,
Thank you. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so for the rest of them, that time is very very valuable.
That's it. That's it.
And I literally, as much as I would love to
Mm-hmm.
re-engage in the foolishness, Bishop Bowser.
Mm-hmm.
I'm checking my calendar. I just don't have
Right.
the time.
Exactly, man. And here's the point. One of the points that in that I say to myself about them is that, like, man, you just lost someone who respected you, right? Didn't badmouth you, talk behind your back or anything. Whatever, what you see is what you get. But now you're doing that to draw in folks who ain't gonna be that loyal friend or associate or whatever you need as far as being real with you. And that's the thing that people are blind to, right? And so we just got, I think, when you're doing positive things and when you're making things happen, your work will speak for itself, right? And those that want to go in that direction, I believe that, if you be who you are, you attract the right things and the right people to you. And so that's all we got to keep doing is doing what we're called to do, what our passions are, what we believe in, and the right things will come to us, because it's just like what you said. When you speak that into the universe and you start thinking certain things, that's what you become. You become what you think about. And so we got to turn this around, especially if we're going to really have a positive impact on our young youth and things like that, and start doing some work to help them and so on, and pull them out of this web of
Dude,
harm that's been
nobody
done to our
cares
community.
about the black boys. Remember, man, the attack is on the black man.
That's right.
They think they have us where they want us. They actually do have us where they want us as a group, as a whole.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Powerless, defenseless, weakless, quote unquote, the least educated, even though we don't hold the most student debt.
Hmm.
So it's critical that we get a hold of these young men. Uh, the situation, it is what it is. We already talked about it.
Hmm.
It's a wrap. I mean, if you just look at here in California, clearly it tells you that it's all over for black people as a whole. You can have pockets of black people doing well, but clearly the future for black people is non-existent here in California
Yeah.
as a whole.
Yeah.
So no problem. Let's deal with the aftermath. The aftermath is we can save a handful of young black boys, one group at a time.
That's right.
Get them going. Get them on about their way. Almost, it's just like elementary school. Just like high school. Once you complete your 2 to 4 years, you gotta go.
That's
what I'm
right.
saying? You come back and see it, but you gotta go because
That's
we gotta.
right.
You
Keep it
gotta
going.
let somebody else use the shower.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So,
I like that.
yeah, and so that's we will take that approach moving forward.
Okay.
I got another brother that is he's another tech guy. He's been very successful since he was 18 because he's like, I think his brother's Jay is about 31. So he kind of grew up in the computer era. So I can't speak for him just yet. That's why I'm using this acronym.
Gotcha.
But I'm almost positive once I get a hold of him, we can get him, even like virtually to pop in and teach some coding or whatnot.
Yeah.
Help these young men. And that's just what we'll do. You know what I mean? We will empower one small group, get them going, and then move on to the next.
That's it. I'm down with that.
And we won't worry about any outside distractions.
Amen. I'm with you on that. Man. So we're coming to that close up to our hour. Any closing words?
Yeah, if there's any man here in San Diego, if you are a skilled tradesman, that would be very good. If you are a CDL holder, that would be very good. Because whether you're CDL, if you got a CDL, whether you're owner operator or a company man, the experiences of running the road will benefit these young men. Obviously, the owner operator, he would know more about the back end business side, the paperwork side of it. So that would be optimal. But I think I might know somebody. My man D Turner, boy, he's been killing it. He's been driving shit. This is 2020. This is 2022. So he's been doing at least 20 years. So I can. I'll just dig deeper into my network. But yeah, we'll do that. If anybody wants to reach out to us in that regard, also our corporate people, our accountants, medical professionals, we could definitely use, any men in that realm.
Okay.
Because they need to see. It's almost like the whole YMCA group kind of thing.
Right.
They need to see They need to see black men of all realms.
There you go.
There you go. From financial services, white collar, blue collar, entrepreneurs, tradesmen. So yeah, I'm going to put the pedal on that.
Okay.
And aside from that, people, just try to incorporate. If you just go to YouTube and you type in 432 meditation music, it'll just it'll bring up just hours of that. And yeah, man, stay positive, stay away from the negative, stay away from the garbage. I mean, obviously we understand that we know that white supremacy is a problem.
Right.
I mean, you cannot live here in San Diego and ignore it. However, you know what I mean? Let's keep it in context.
Don't let it consume
there are far greater things that we need to be worrying about that we can make a direct impact,
That's right. That's right.
versus putting energy there.
That's right. If anyone wanted to get involved and wanted to work with you, is there any way they can contact you, or what would you
Uh,
say to them?
yeah. So my Facebook is John Hancock. My message, my DM is always open.
Mm-hmm.
So you can contact me at John Hancock. You can tag me on when you post this,
Okay, we'll
and
do.
then that way, yeah, they can give me there, and that would probably be the best way for now.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I was just talking about, even though I would like to advertise what I'm doing for the tech company to help people, but I'm keeping things close for
That's right.
now,
That's right.
just because.
That's right. That's right. And then
So,
hand pick the ones that you want.
there you go.
There you go.
See, I didn't even have to say it. See, I said it without saying it.
I think exactly, man. That'll work. So, hey, man, we thank you, man, and really appreciate this. And appreciate you bringing this positive energy on here, and appreciate all that you're doing and the vision that you have, and whatever I can do to help and work with you, I will do that. And we will be posting this on Facebook and through Podbeam. And of course, we'll upload this, try to get this uploaded to Instagram also, for those that are on Instagram. And so we thank you, Jimmy, for being on with us. And we thank all of our viewers and all of our listeners that are on here. This is Bishop Bowser, Slow Motion with Bishop Bowser, our podcast. And we thank you, and God bless you, and have a blessed night.